today's cookbuzz, you talked about the lack of faith between brothers and Islam. How could we get that back?
Hard question. Hard question. And we were talking about an aspect of Iman, or we can say a fundamental part of Iman, is our interpersonal relationships, right? How we deal with them is part of Iman, right? To be more clear, we can't separate our treatment of each other from Iman. You know, we have the hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. And that hadith is well known, mashhur. So it sounds hadith, but it's well known. It's like spread out. Young and old know it, that none of you believes, or none of you has Iman till you love for your brother what you love for yourself. That's an important principle to operate by. And we can't be exclusive in that. We make excuses to be exclusive in that. And we have a lot of details that we tried to bring in who we exclude, from that circle of brotherhood. And is odd because Imam al-Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi, in his explanation of that hadith, in his own explanation of the 40 hadith, this hadith comes up in the 40 hadith as well as the major collections. But he includes the non-Muslim in that, your neighbor, as having the rights, some rights of brotherhood, to that extent that the neighbor, is included in that. And that has been a big debate among some of the scholars with regard to, how it is that we deal with people overall. But here he gives us that framework. And we know from the prophetic example that the neighbor, regardless of what their background is, has a big role in Islam. That's, we have obligations towards our neighbors. But the hadith overall talks about the importance of Iman and loving for our brothers was good by default, because what we should love for ourselves is what's good. So that if we go deep into the hadith, there should be some assumption there that we're talking about a healthy person. Because if a person, here is saying that you love for, yourself, right? Certain things, and those things that you love for yourself, you should love them for your brother. None of you believes till you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And I think that this is the key issue that we struggle with. Do we really love ourselves properly? Right? Do we identify with our humanity enough that we can identify with the humanity of another person? I guarantee you, if you go deep enough into your own humanity, you should be able to have empathy with another human being. That's why I started off with the whole idea of the non-Muslim, right? That there's a basic line that's there. How do you deal with the non-Muslim? Well, especially in the case of non-Muslim being your neighbor has rights. You can't just, pass off the idea that because this person is a non-Muslim, that I have no obligations towards that person. That's not Islamic. And that's a whole conversation by itself. But it's important to be there to say, well, hold on a second. If the deen even includes that the non-Muslim has a right over me, then what about the Muslim brother? What about the Muslim brother? If the non-Muslim, the neighbor in this case, it could be Muslim or non-Muslim, right? But the neighbor, let's draw that line out. If the neighbor was emphasized so much that the Sahaba felt that the neighbor was going to get rights of inheritance, the right of the neighbor was emphasized so much with regard to how we should deal with the neighbor, that the Sahaba felt, well, are they going to inherit from us? You know what I'm saying? Then what about the Muslim brother? Somewhere along the line, we've fallen off on this point. And that's why we have to come back to ourselves. Like, are we putting ourselves in the position of our Muslim brothers? That's the first. You talk about how to get it back. The empathy has to be there. Empathy is different than pity. Empathy is where, it's like there's an equality in it. Whereas pity is you coming from a high horse and you're looking, feeling sorry for the person. No, but when you put yourself in that person's place, when you're empathetic, when you open up your emotions, then you can start to feel, where they're at. And that opens the door for building a better relationship. The other issue is having a clear understanding that this is not a compromisable point. This is a principle in the deen. It's not a debatable point. The Quran, it talks about the believers being brothers. In the khutbah, we mentioned that point, and in the context that the Quran brings it out in is one of certainty. إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِخْوَةٌ. There's no room for doubt there. There's no room for confusion because of the way that the language is operating. And so that is another element that we have to bring to the table. We've lost that because of the way that we deal with educating ourselves on practice. So we make an excuse, this one is from that school of thought, or this school of thought, or this school of Aqidah, or that school of Aqidah. But this is not a school of Aqidah point. This is deen, right? The school of Aqidah points come in details and things that are not clear in the Quran and Sunnah. But that issue is clear. The rabit, the tie-in between Iman and Ukhuwah in the Quran is clear. Like, there's no debate on that issue. And the other thing that comes in is that in this context of this ayat, the issue of conflict resolution comes to the fore. So the Quran is not talking about this idealistic form of brotherhood that doesn't assume that people are going to fall out. There's an assumption that people are going to fall out. So what's brought to the table is, make the conditions better. But how we get that back, I believe, is like emotionally we have to train ourselves to put ourselves in the position of others. That feeling has to be there. And we have to look at ourselves like, what's going on within ourselves. And we were talking about earlier in the story of Yusuf. Sometimes we have issues. Sometimes I don't like to see the other brother shine. Or the other brother have the microphone, or the other brother be more successful materially. We feel some sort of weight. And the problem with that is that that's between that person and Allah. You don't know what that person's state really is. Exteriorly, you may think that it's all fun and games and great. And behind the scenes, mashallah, people are doing well materially, but behind the scenes, that could be a mess. Or it could be a beautiful reality. Right? But the point in that is that, is not to transgress the limits. Like, that's that person's life. Like, relax. Where you at, you have to deal with your situation. The comparison sometimes, it brings in a dynamic where brotherhood is not possible. And the distinguishing and so on and so forth. And that's the madhab of Iblis. The way of Iblis. I'm on fire. He's clay. There's been some Muslim thinkers, they talked about like racism is like that. That, that concept is a satanic concept. Because our concept about humanity has one origin. There's no such thing as human races. Although we use it on a regular basis, we say racist, but no, the human race is one. You know what I'm saying? So those things clarifying the way we understand people, like this, that we have a single origin. We were all created by Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, and then putting ourselves in the position of other people, slowing down about me, it being only about me, and see where the other person is at, in terms of my life, how I feel about that, and then the principle of the deen being clear to us that this is not a negotiable. This is a thing that has to be established the same way we struggle to establish salah. You know what I'm saying? Is at that level. It has to be established. It's tied into Iman. And the Quranic concept ties it into Iman. And the Hadith brings it back to that reality. It negates Iman, actually. Although it's saying that your Iman is not complete. But if you take the language literally, it's like you don't have any Iman. None of you believes. Alhamdulillah that the language doesn't, push that extent. But we should, look at it from that angle. Take it literally for the sake of our own discipline. But that's not what it means. It means that our Iman is not complete until we love for our brothers what we love for ourselves. But if we were to say, just as a form of discipline, you don't believe, I talk to Yusuf, you don't believe to love for your brother what you love for yourself. That would be, a changing point. So we hold ourselves accountable. How am I treating this, this brother? Because we make a lot of excuses to alienate or to push people away or to, not build the relationship with them. So we have to have some corrective in that regard.